this last block of time was meant for us to go into a little more detail about what the foundation's been up to and to give you time to ask questions, have some discussion, share with you a little bit about our plans. Let me put this in slideshow for a moment. And I can add a little more detail about what we've been up to based on, what I was saying this morning. So a little bit of history. We started in 2019 with the foundation in the US. The original goal was for that to be a nonprofit in the US. Turns out it's very difficult in the US to get nonprofit status for an open source project. So we tried anyway. We spent all of the foundation money, which wasn't that much, but basically legal fees, it just wasn't worth it. And in the end, we did not even get our money. So at that point, we thought about our options. Having a foundation in the US is expensive, like I said, legal fees, but there's also just the way all the states versus federal government operate. There's a lot of paperwork to be done, registering in different states every time we wanted to try to raise funding in different states. So we said, okay, this is silly. Let's find a place where it's a little bit easier to manage, easier to get nonprofit status. And so we landed on, of course, because we have so many nice representatives from the Netherlands, we landed on the Netherlands. And they have a very nice system. It's simpler than the US in many ways, now that we've gone through the experience of actually opening up a nonprofit organization, having the same kind of corporate status, having the same kind of tax breaks as we would have had in the US. And the maintenance burden seems to be much lower so far. And we'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, apart from posting our bylaws and the executive plan and a little bit of financials, that's about it. And legal fees were also much cheaper in the end. So, yeah, something like that, yeah. So I'll just pause there for a moment. So in case anybody wants to ask any questions about that process or why we did it, if that's not clear, the one message I do want to share with you is that it's the same foundation that we all designed and created together a few years ago and discussed what the bylaws should be like and how it's going to operate. So it's the same thing, new location. Any comments, questions?
Maybe for people in the room.
Yeah.
Just refreshing very quickly why we have the idea of it. Why we want it.
Perfect. Whoop, 1 second. So that's the next part. So if you go to our website, which has been recently updated, you're going to find a few things. Under bylaws, you're going to find, I'm not going to click into this, but you're going to find the actual copies of our signed and submitted incorporation documents in the Netherlands. If anybody wants to look, feel free. You can see all the rules and regulations, etc. If you go under documents, you're going to find some other information there. So apart from financials, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think a very important thing that we have linked here now is the executive plan. And in the executive plan, it's a nice high-level summary of the goals, objectives, description of why we're doing what we're doing. So why don't we take this chance? I'll walk through a few of these pieces of information in here, and that can be part of the discussion.
It's important to clarify all those documents are in English. The official version is Dutch.
Right. There's the Dutch version, and then we have the translations as well. So perfect. As a reminder, this text here is basically what I just told you in slightly different words. So if you want to go reread that, feel free. So what was the original idea? Let me blow this up. After working together on the software for a number of years, we all realized that, as people sort of kind of go through the system and get their PhDs and move on, and people come and go in the project, we realized if we want to make sure this thing continues to stay alive, is maintained, has a community that's organized and heading in one direction together, that we should put some kind of a formal organization around it. So that was the original intent. So this first block of bullets is basically to say all the little pieces of that we wanted to accomplish. So develop and maintain the code,
guarantee that it's publicly available for students, researchers, anyone. We think this is very important. So it's more or less the open source idea, but also making sure that we're putting out documentation, making sure we post publications, making sure we have things like tutorials on the website, et cetera. So there's also some instructional material that comes along with that, not just making sure that the code is open source and available. Furthermore, improving the quality of what you can do with the software, technical design and architecture. We want to, have the folks in the community get together to discuss those things, best practices, and of course, a lot of us care about, numerical methods, multi-physics, adjoint methods, design, so all the things that we do research about. That was the original high-minded goal. Any comments?
I would say, maybe it's obvious, but let's say that whenever you want to operate something in society, you need a legal entity, you need the legal entity to organize and time to decide things. And it should be very clear that it's a volunteer-based organization, meaning that everyone working in it, like myself, do it for free.
That's right. So all the board members are volunteer. It's labor of love. And there's one other really important thing you said, which was having a formal organization. So why did we feel the need to take that step? I'm sure many of you have seen this in your experiences in research and academia. Often if you want to point maybe a company toward the software or try to get different collaborators to work together on the software, they want to know who's driving the ship. They want to see that there's something, an entity that can support and maintain and that there's longevity to the project. So we thought that that was important to provide that. So it can be a point of contact, a center of communication and a center of discussion for the community, something we can point to that people feel confident. You're building confidence in the project. So that's why we took that initial step. And so the goals remain the same, even though we've moved to the Netherlands. I mean, this is actually the document we've posted, which is our executive plan for the new foundation in the Netherlands. Okay, any other questions about organizations and why we're doing what we're doing, or the move to the Netherlands?
You mentioned the fact that the original idea was also this wish of operating even more professionally, maybe by hiring some people to do code maintenance, and then need a legal entity to manage this kind of activities. Even now, who can play a role in funded projects, can serve the purpose of dissemination, or sometimes just be partnering in a project in a project proposal. So these are all, in my opinion, good reasons to have an established organization.
Yeah, good point. So if the top part is sort of the strategic plan, in a sense, the guiding goals, we're never gonna, these are never totally done, right? These are things we're gonna work on for the life of the organization. Then there are some specific actions we're taking, which is partly the second step. And there's another set of them on the next page, which I'll get to. But these are some specific things we do as an organization, as a foundation and with the community. So obviously we organize this annual conference, which I think has been a big success. 8 years running. I think it's really been great for the community. We have had other workshops. So this time we're going to have the Turbo workshop here, but other organizations have held different workshops in different locations, and the community has helped to organize those and maybe give guest programming sessions or lectures at those, and supporting each other. To Piero's point, working on research programs together. So the foundation has sent letters on behalf of the foundation to different organizations to say that we will support people that are using the software in whatever way we can. Being part of grant proposals also in a couple instances. 1 or 2 unsuccessful, but it's worth trying. We'll keep trying. Yeah. Communication. So obviously we have the website, we post all of these documents, but we also have things like social media, which we could be better at taking advantage of. But, you know, we do post things from time to time. That's something where we could definitely use volunteers. I think Matteo brought this up earlier. It's a great opportunity for folks that, you know, are either new in the project or want to get involved more. You know, we have a lot of things like that. Just keeping the community aware of what's going on can be as simple as you know, tweeting out a picture or posting a link to something. So it's important. So we can act as a communication hub in that sense, and we do. I mentioned the educational materials in the past. You know, I know folks have shared some lecture materials that you've used in courses, the academics that is. You know, we've created things beyond just the tutorials. We have other slides from workshops and whatnot that we put on the web. You can still find them on our websites. So you know, creating and posting and maintaining some of that educational material is also important. So we try to support that as we can. And last but not least, we have to have funding to really do much of anything. So to Piero's point as well, you know, we have this meeting, we have the funding to essentially put on this meeting, but if we really want to take it to the next level and potentially hire folks that can help with the software or do much more, we're going to need a significant amount of funding, much more than we have had success bringing in so far, honestly. So you know, we can maintain this level of activity, but if we want to get bigger, we have to have more success with fundraising.
Say something about this now, or there's another moment?
We'll go, I was thinking with financials, we'll talk about that in a moment. Maybe I'll pause there though. Any comments about some of our specific activities or any feedback? You know, it's kind of a chance. We want to hear from you too. If you think we're missing opportunities to do something that would help you in the community, please speak up. Just a little bit long. Okay. Now this is even one more level of specificity. So here's what we plan to do this year. And I think we're executing on this quite well. So don't feel free not to read all this, but basically we've organized this conference. That was one of our big goals, which we did. Reminder that every week we're holding a developer call. This is open. There's just a link. It's the same link every week. Anybody can dial in. There are usually a few of us there. It alternates between Europe and US times. So to any of you who did not know about that, please feel free. If you're working on the code, just come and ask questions. It's very informal. You'll find folks there. We've done a little bit of fundraising. So I mentioned we need to do a lot more, but we did have some success recently. A couple of sponsors of this conference showed up in the last month or two. So Bosch and Sonero, and they're listed there, which was great. So we had a few $1,000. We'll see, I think on your slides, a little bit about the fundraising, NISO, so maybe I'll save that. But we have had a little bit of success, but we know we need to amp that up quite a bit. Communication, and then the last thing that we had put here in the plan was to have the release, which, you know, as we discussed earlier, that went out this year, this past August, version 8, which was a very big one with a lot of features. So that's something we can be very proud of. So overall, I think we're, you know, at least this plan, we hit our objectives, other than maybe the fundraising. That's the one that I think has been our Achilles heel for some time now. But okay, any thoughts, any feedback? Yeah, Richard, please.
The thinking, why does not SU2 have like stock in some of these AI conferences or Expo conferences where let's say many of these, you know, hardcore CFP users are there, and perhaps it would be nice to have a stock there once in a while just to demonstrate the capabilities of the tool, but I still think not everyone knows what are the possibilities.
Yeah, so I'll share a small anecdote. So in the very early days, so the first couple of years, 2 or 3 years, we used to literally print flyers on 9x12 pieces of paper with like what SU2 could do, and we would just take them to the conference and just hand them out, or we would find places on tables and just put them down because it was free. So we didn't have to go rent a booth in the exhibit hall, which I think would probably be a little bit pricey. But I think your point is a good one. So, I mean, we have to advertise, absolutely. So maybe Josh first, I see a couple of you guys.
On a similar point, I learned from here that I was speaking to the guy and those who have said, oh, we use SU2 all the time, like a few years ago, and then the development just stops developing. And he says the reason why they never went back to using it was because they just didn't know the impact that it did.
I cannot hear what you're saying, sorry. Can anybody else?
Oh, here, you know, we have.
So I was speaking to a guy at the conference who was there, and he basically said that a few years ago they were using SU2 regularly research, and then for whatever reason, and they decided to go back to using it because they had no idea, like, oh, this feature that is, or so it's like following on from Stu's point about going out and advertising it as a tool is probably very worthwhile if you need to expand, especially if you're getting corporate sponsorship and provision, etc.
Yeah, I think, on that note, we did prepare a white paper features as part of our fundraising efforts. But apart from discussing that, we didn't take that one around to conferences or anything like that, so I think that's an interesting idea. Yeah, examples. We did post it on the website, social media. Yeah.
Just briefly on the idea of that I do have some experience for other reasons, and unfortunately it costs money. For us, as a non-profit organization, the fee is probably low, but the amount of money we pay for the patient is lower. And the message I would like to leave here, given that I really like volunteering in associations like these, I think it's extremely important. The problem is that if I compare what has happened to another partner, is that similarly to what happens with companies, there is a bit of a valley of death. So there's a period initially where things are like fun. Then there's the moment in which you realize that not only the usual suspects meet each other and enthusiasm meet. And unfortunately, that is not enough. You need a little bit more critical mass. And then things start to happen. Who is optimistic as a company? So I do think that if you are able to attract some more people to do some of the work, that we see it, for instance, if you think about it, even the organization of the book, the design, you need some people that actually do it. Like I said, the advertising part is very important. Posting on Twitter, SNS, papers, and so forth. There are, I think, here, even within the people of the board, we sit together and put down 30 activities that would increase our activities. But we will need some more people that are available to donate. You should imagine a huge amount of your time, a few hours per week, a few hours every month. And we can start doing things that we generate revenues, opportunities, and so on. That's like,
Yeah, actually, my comment is same line. So here, repeating what in Worsley, what that. Let me just give an example of meeting people that start asking your education work. So the foundation now is such that there is a board, and there are a couple of work, one exactly, but not the other. But certainly one that is to the working group that is the organizer. Kind of activity that basically was created by this group of people. And what I've seen is that here described. Last year, 1 year ago, we presented the idea of creating a working group. There was a lot of enthusiasm. In the first couple of months, there were about 10 to 15 people joining the meetings, and now, you know, the attendance slowly decreased up to probably 3, 4. So now, but that was still enough to keep the working group alive, to the point that we were able to attract 2, 3 more people. For instance, those that are part of the research center. The research center is also sponsoring these conferences. So here it's really a matter of trying. And for sure, especially in this room, there are people that are enthusiastic about initiative. And what they probably need are also some, you know, say, role models or more seniors that engage themselves and provide examples. This is what happened in our world. So we are, of course, open to any contribution. We believe that by trying to make the story of this foundation success.
We do meet, so it's clear, recently we've been meeting every week, but normally we have every other week days where we meet for 30 minutes or 5 minutes. And then, yeah, maybe an hour or 2 of work in between each week. But we can do a lot of enjoy problems, little by little.
Okay, maybe also thanks for saying that, to connect with what you said there. Sort of starting starting to use SU2. I actually did SU2, then it was dead. Mostly because of the fact that the foundation of Facebook comes that wasn't really updated, but related, I went that stopped, so. Exactly. But I guess that I was thinking that they drive engagement with us is the youngest user group, which I can remember. Maybe a competition for the best thesis, even if they didn't even have monitoring reward. We're very behind this, since people who maybe don't generally know about this too, but may be interested in winning an award, will be interested in using SU2 just because, and then the year we think about
Good, trying to do that. Comments, ideas, I'm taking notes.
So I know a lot of things in the Bay Area, but they host a lot of hackathons around ML stuff, cooling around that. You know, maybe hosting hackathons would probably be like really great data. It's like a lot of people's hands, and then you know they host a workforce that you so I think that can be very useful there, and also I think you know I find myself a lot of times like needing support with things, so maybe that could be an option to make money there. I think you know a lot of people would not mind paying, especially if there's some stuff. So
As far as I will permission staff.
The comments, thoughts, and if you just quickly relate to the piece of software that in Poland, the distributor, access software. Yeah, the distributor for access software does those, annual, online programming, online simulation office, something like this. Maybe something like that.
And really not thinking that we have really as potential capital. People have to show up.
It has dwindled a little bit. We'll talk about, by the way, quick plug for that. We want to talk tomorrow about development a little bit. We'll try to say that part. There's meant to be more technology. I mean, is there anything, I'm looking at some of the folks who have been involved in the project for a long time, is there anything the foundation can be doing to help you guys, your students, your grant proposals, your, I don't know, but, you know, what do you need? Is there something we're not providing that you're going to improve on? I think we're open to why it's. Are you happy with the role of this? Rob is nodding yes in the back here.
Yes. This is kind of repeat themselves every year. I guess part of this is whether there is any an explore plan for trying to get established foundation. That seems not to work for a long time. So what will change the source to make it that different? So today I think about the way in my problem. So we started having research software engineers to support co-development. This is not something you see so this again, they made something for some of them. So we in Parliament created we have supporting staff for the work. The reasons, those of them. We never had someone local support software. There was a center in the university, to go there, we do courses, but then we decided this would be an opportunity for us to come to really make a change. I mean, in my department, we have 3 different open source CV codes. We have so we have 18 national projects. So we have is 72 we call it engineers. So they are computer equivalent to the lab technicians. They are on soft money, but they are the position is going to be very different. So we keep them. We have contracts with them, and they go to a proper position, and this allows to support those specific tools. Whether something like this can be enabled with the tool in my room, in my department, to go that direction on another basis, then we can have that bit which is missing. Doesn't need to be part of the foundation, like it's supported by the foundation the way they define it. We offer any of the possibility of university. For us, as a model, it means that it's a conversion 2 years ago, now we have the same one, we see what happening at that.
Got any more spots? Are you hired friendly?
Okay. So I don't have any on the list or not, we will have.
But that's a chicken and egg problem, because where do we get that process start? Like, if the foundation gets someone to do that job, right? To be the supporting engineer.
Exactly, but I think they not have this on the foundation.
Have it in material.
But if I apply for a £5 grant, I can put one of those And then make sure that we get the foundation that supports. If we don't know that, like, okay, I need institution to support this, but it's not different than this fee that we okay.
It's just going to be permanent. It's a permanent.
You have to be a man like this, it's a different model for how you want to support people.
I think that, as Pedro said, convincing an institution to pay for someone who works for another foundation is a long stretch. What we try to do in the past could be a good bridge to a situation whereby the foundation is not managing a professional,
Or do you want?
is to proposals, positions for
just a brief
themselves.
the donations.
That's
But in
That part, we should cover all of that.
so Anbi is also.
I mean, you don't have to go into detail, but I think letting
professionalized software, show that
For the next meeting, we do the financial.
It's not a model, it's not a research. It's here. It's how you do the whole
just have a PowerPoint.
is all of the. So we will touch it,
Here.
but we would post up
And there are some here.
Although we can't screen share, although I don't know.
Just
Because this is what we plan. Okay, so you don't put any other support to your proposal. To what the different there's nothing no different to do this.
We can talk about that.
But then would that person be available to the world? Or is anyone that has a question on that?
But you know, exactly look at that person because it's a boss.
Okay, we have one more part we're talking with you about financial. My thoughts, some good ideas. I know, we try every year, we have asked, new ideas, we've been trying, we haven't solved this problem yet, but hopefully we figure something out.
Okay, NISO just wanted to do a quick walkthrough of kind of financial status and a little bit about the Netherlands version of nonprofit status.
Yep.
I guess we don't need this right now. We can save it. And then just give you this. Do you have an HDMI directly?
This is.
Slide a little further over. Oh, we probably should make that anonymous. That's fine.
Yeah. Ooh, use new hardware. Not right now.
Actually, hold on. Unplug that for a bit. 1 second. Can we just hide?
Look at this question, my friend.
Yeah. Can you just take the name off that one?
Sorry?
It's supposed to be anonymous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we might need to change
So
that.
so what do I do with this?
Can you just put XXX there for the moment? And we'll just say we have an anonymous. As long as,
So,
yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Do we have that one online? We might need to. Is that posted in the web?
No, only the last year's.
We're good.
Yeah, can I plug it in
Yeah,
again? Okay, so just one slide on the financial status. So since this year we have a bank account, so what do? No one knew how?
Just say not right now. You just need to show it. Yeah. you're
Yeah. So since this year we have a bank account in the Netherlands, the US bank account was dissolved. There was a little bit of it left and transferred to the bank account in the Netherlands. We currently have 7,000 in the bank. And that's mainly due to, well, I'd say a successful donation campaign. So we got a donation from Bosch of 4,000 euros and a donation from Cenero. And we also got a generous anonymous donation of almost 4,000 euros. So that's pretty close to 7,800 euros in donations. Then, of course, there were some costs for mainly setting up the foundation in the Netherlands. So the subscription to the Chamber of Commerce and the, let's say, legal fees for the bylaws, that was a couple of thousand. So in the end, we are now well, plus 7,000 on the bank, so that's good. And then in, let's say, a week or so, we probably know more about the final financial situation of the conference. But it looks like the, let's say, costs do not outweigh the benefits, so we are left with a small surplus. At least it looks like that right now. So that means that we probably do not have to worry that we go bankrupt in the short term, which was basically also the reasoning behind increasing for this year the fees for the conference. So probably next year you don't have to go all too deep into your wallets for the conference fee. It also means that there's some money for vouchers to basically support the community, show our appreciation by, let's say, giving a small financial gift. So that's all I want to say for now about the financial situation. So every year we have to report about the financial situation. By the end of the year, we really make the complete balance. But for 2023, it'll be a couple of months. Okay, so that's for now about the financial situation, unless somebody has a question about some details that I didn't mention, but it looks like we're good. Let's see, maybe I can. Is this okay for now, or maybe I just? Okay. I will just. I have it online.
You can go. You hit that, it'll go.
Which one is it?
That one. Yeah, it should take it full screen. Hopefully, yeah. You got
okay. So just a few slides about the ANBI status. So ANBI means Algemeen Nutbeogende Instelling. It's basically a public benefit institution. That's the literal translation. And it is a special status for foundations and clubs that are non-profit and have a public benefit. So that means if you are a soccer club, you cannot be non-profit. You cannot get this non-profit status because it is not for the public benefit. It's only for the people who are in the soccer club. But the SU2 Foundation is for the public benefit because everybody can, in principle, benefit from the SU2 code. So a couple of weeks ago, I submitted a request to get this non-profit status. So by the end of the year, we should know if we get it or not. But also, we already talked with the let's say legal advisor for the bylaws, who already put into the bylaws exactly what needs to be in there for this non-profit status. So the most important thing about this non-profit is that it is directly coupled to so it's a status with the Dutch tax authorities and nothing else. And it has tax benefits. So the most important ones are listed here. So you don't have, we don't pay inheritance tax. So if you die, please leave something to the SU2 Foundation. So, and also we don't pay tax on gifts and donations, and that is both ways. So if you donate to SU2, there's no tax involved. Also, if we donate to somebody, so if we give, let's say, a donation of 100 euros to a developer to show our token of appreciation, that is also not taxed. And also gifts to the foundation are in general, because you pay tax in the Netherlands. Or you mean, I mean,
Well, if the recipient is in the US and we give them money, that might get the same.
Just put that at the bottom of the provided.
yeah. Of course, this is for, yeah, that's a good point. It's for the Dutch situation. So it might be that if you're in the US and you get a donation from us, you have to check how that works. Yeah, with your tax advisor. Yeah, one more thing is if it's a periodic gift, then, so if you want to give the SU2 Foundation some gift every year, then we need to put that down into a written agreement for the tax authorities. Now, the final thing is that in general, there is no tax obligation once you have this non-profit status. So we don't have it yet, but there's a good chance that we will get it. So that basically means that once you have this status, you will never hear from the tax office again, because there's nothing there's no money to get from us. Then there are some rules, so we have to be a bit careful here, because you can lose the ANBI status when you violate these rules. So first of all, 90% of our expenses should be for the public benefit. So that means, I have a couple of examples. You cannot buy a laptop for yourself with foundation money, because that's only for you or for a very small part of the community. But you can buy a subscription for a GoToWebinar, as we did, as part of the organization of the SU2 conference. Then we should always have this non-profit idea in mind. So of course, for this year, we raised the conference fees a little bit, just to make sure that we don't go bankrupt in case that nobody shows up. So thanks everybody for showing up. But in principle, we don't talk about profits. All the, but of course we need a financial buffer. I'm not sure, but maybe I'll talk about it in the next slide. But also the financial buffer needs to be, let's say, in balance with what you actually do. So we cannot have a financial buffer of 10 million euros because that does not balance with what we actually do.
I remember I asked the tax authority.
Yeah.
So then you get the turnover for 1 year, and then you get 2 or 3 years, and you cannot have more than, let's say, the debt had 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so there's not like
considered as a safety.
Yeah. Then I want to stress, especially the board members, please do not commit crimes, because then we have to kick you out of the board. So there is a rule that says that the board has to meet, let's say, some demands of integrity. So you cannot be recently convicted for a crime. Then also the finances cannot be controlled by one person. So I am not, let's say, a controller. I'm just somebody who executes. So what they basically mean is that, for instance, the chairman cannot have a veto on financial matters. He cannot say, we must give a donation to the chairman or something like that. But we already have that in the bylaws, that there is not, let's say, one person in the board who has more power than somebody else. So we're good. Oh yeah, so this is the point that I talked about. We cannot have more assets than necessary for continuity. And then it's always a bit of a question of what that is, but you just said, yeah, 2 or 3 times the annual turnover just to make sure that we will survive one disastrous conference. Then also, when we eliminate the foundation, all the assets have to go to another nonprofit organization. It's also something that we have in the bylaws. So everything that we can put in the bylaws to meet these requirements, we have already done that. Then there are some rules about salaries, that's it, expenses and reimbursements. Board members cannot get a salary, but board members or others can get reimbursed for expenses made. So we can reimburse you for train tickets or gas when there is, let's say, a real, live board meeting. And we can even give you an attendance fee. And there are all kinds of rules about this, and they change every year. So in principle, but you know, it's very small compared to what an actual salary would be. Then volunteers can get sorry. Then volunteers can get a volunteer fee, so which can be either financial or in kind. So we can give you a box of chocolates, or we can give you 50 euros, but we can not give you 5,000 euros because that is too close to a real salary. So there are all kinds of rules about how much you can get, but the basic rule is we cannot give you for your volunteering more than 190 euros a month and not more than 1,900 a year. And this is in such a way that we cannot give you in 1 month 200 euros, even though that is the only month that you get money. And so this 1,900, so we can give you 190 euros a month for 10 months, totaling 1,900. But we cannot give you 200 euros for 1 month. So that's the rule. So an example of a gift can be the SU2 developer awards. So we have to make sure that we don't give one person at once a gift that is more than 190 euros. Okay. So those are the most important rules for the AMBI status. So it's something that we always have to keep in mind. So like I already said, once you have the AMBI status, you will usually never hear from the tax authorities again. But we of course have to follow the rules because else we could lose this status. Are there any questions? Yeah. Sorry? Yeah. So the rule is that the financial, so first of all, for the planning, there are no rules, but for the approval of what you did in the last year, there are rules. So we are now in 2023. So we need to have an approved financial overview of 2022. And the rules are that they have to be published on the website, and 2 external persons who are, so external means no board members, have to approve the financial overview of the previous year, and the board then has to or can accept their approval, or hopefully approval. This also has to be within a certain amount of months after the fiscal year, so, which is 3 months. So actually for 2022, we are actually a bit on the late side. Yeah, for 2022, I have asked Luca and Nico to have a look at the overview of last year, and we will discuss it today as well.
Are we free to choose people?
Yes, as long as they are not board members. You are also free to choose an accounting office, for instance, which is what very large organizations do. But we have like 3 Excel pages, so it's not that large. Other questions? No? No, so that's it from my
So
side.
I think that's all we really wanted to cover. We wanted you guys to know what we're up to and know a little bit about nonprofit status. If you have any other comments or questions, yes, Nitish.
More for nonprofits. Now that the organization is in Europe, is it possible that the foundation can participate in or in Europe calls?
Yes.
Because that's kind of very interesting.
Yeah.
It is definitely very interesting.
But we have to understand maybe how to, lasts. Okay, that's amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really the best we can offer, like, between us and to support our fans, right? So,
No.
but that's interesting, that helpful proposal.
Yep.
We provide. Say,
Yep. So we are basically an entity that can write letters of support for grant proposals. If we have money, we can also say that we want to offer financial support, or we can also offer in-kind support.
I know something about it.
Yeah.
The easiest is definitely the dissemination partner, but it could be interesting if the SU2 Foundation can be more than that. Of course, if money is involved, it means that the board has to look very carefully at the regulations that are involved, sure that the foundation can comply with the requirements. But opportunity arises, I think it's at least worth
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking, that maybe also if foundation can take a bigger role than just nation of providing support and simulations, or let's say maybe some code development, for example, I think that would be a much bigger chunk of money than the simulation. Because, for example, if I'm thinking that the user SU2 was a code, some hours with the SU2 foundation, in which I can say that support from the SU2 foundation, but the foundation has to also 5 hours in the horizon.
I mean, we like to go there. So do we hire some staff and then try to do that? Do we go out and get grants? Well, how?
But good to know that if we are looking at something, we can do something in the near future.
Yeah, I also want to stress that it is possible for a nonprofit, of course, to hire somebody, but then the tax offices will get involved. So then there are many more rules that we have to follow.
Then the foundation has to pay an accountant.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we definitely then have to check what the legal requirements are. And
That's where we want to.
yeah.
Agreed. Okay, any final comments? Otherwise, maybe we can